Esports United is proud to announce Canada's dedicated Valorant Collegiate Invitational. MECI Valorant begins with Western and Eastern Canadian divisions. Tune in on July 23rd and 24th for our West Division qualifiers and July 30th and 31st for the East Division. Find our socials at linktree/mesportsunited to stay up to date with more MECI news. Now enjoy the rest of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. We'll see you soon. Me Sports United is proud to announce Canada's dedicated Valorant Collegiate Invitational. MECI Valorant begins with Western and Eastern Canadian divisions. Tune in on July 23rd and 24th for our West Division qualifiers and July 30th and 31st for the East Division. Find our socials at linktree/MeSportsUnited to stay up to date with more MECI news. Now enjoy the rest of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. We'll see you soon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to our last panel of day 4 of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. Again, I am your host, Jennifer, and today we are talking about collegiate clubs. So we have brought some kind of collegiate leaders in the space. We have Cynthia, Matt, and Nick. So first off, thank you for joining us, and say hello to everyone in chat. Um,
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hey,
We will start by kind of getting you guys to introduce yourselves. So, of course, name, tags, what school you go to, and kind of what position you are at that school. Anyone is free to go first.
I can go first. My name is Cynthia. I'm from SFU. I am the Vice President of Competitive Esports, and my gamer tags are Cincha on League of Legends or Arby's Gaming on Valorant. Also the manager of the League of Legends team for SFU.
My name is Matthew, and I am the competitive team manager for the 3 Valorant teams that are at SFU. My gamer tags are either Berserk or No Need for Speed.
And my name's Nick. My gamer tag is nickname 0836, or you can just call me nickname. And I am the president of the UN Esports Club at the University of Windsor in Ontario. And I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. It's nice to meet you guys. And I know Cynthia and Matt have both been on some panels earlier. So you already know standard 3 questions. First one being, how long have you each been gaming for?
I think for me, I started in 2020, so not that long ago. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty new.
I've had video games since I was a kid, probably since I was 8 or 12 or 8 or 10 years old. But competitively, I started playing Rocket League back in 2016. Still playing that pretty competitively now. That's kind of what drove me to collegiate esports in the first place. So, yeah, probably about 5 to 6 years now competitively.
Awesome.
Many years. I've been told that when I was 3 that I was playing the Super Nintendo, so that's
Shit.
quite a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's really interesting to actually see that a lot of people here, with exclusion of Cynthia, hello, we've all been probably gaming since we were like under 10, which I think is
Oh my
amazing.
God.
But
Oh
Cynthia,
yeah,
20 something is not too late to start for
it's
sure.
okay.
Okay, so what is each of your guys' all-time favorite game and why?
Yeah, mine's gonna be simply Rocket League, just because I've been playing for so long. I put way too many hours in the game, and I still genuinely enjoy it every day that I play it. So that's hands down my favorite game.
Mhm.
Um, I think mine changes. I generally like competitive games. Like I was like at one point I was super into like Modern Warfare and then super into Rainbow Six Siege. But like generally like I find myself like coming back to like Rocket League because it's like quick games, still competitive with skill, and it's fun. Or Brawlhalla, same reasons.
Mm, I think as far as the most hours I've put into a game, it's probably Valorant, but like Overwatch, like maybe like it's fun, but I don't know if you guys like RPGs, but I really like Fire Emblem Awakening. That one's
Fair
so
enough.
fun.
Fair
Love
enough.
Fire Emblem. It's so
Fire
good.
Fair
Emblem is a
enough.
good series.
It's so good. Have you played
Uh,
Awakening?
I
It's
played
actually
Three
my favorite.
Houses and I've played the phone game.
Claude Three Houses.
I know. Is that one is it the one you were talking about the new one that came out?
It's kind of old. I got it from my cousin. I think it's like
Oh,
2013.
okay. It's not that old.
Not that old. Not that
Uh,
old.
Hmm.
but I know I'm pretty sure there is a new Fire Emblem or relatively new. I
Okay.
saw it somewhere and it's just in my head and I don't know where it came from. But anyways, so what kind of last of the icebreaker questions? What game are you currently into?
Currently for me, I would say Elden Ring.
Ooh,
Fair enough.
Isn't it
horror
He's in the
fighting
frustrating
game.
depths.
though?
Yeah.
like Dark Souls frustrating?
Probably.
It's getting there. I'm currently on more of a casual kick right now, so I'm enjoying Stardew Valley more than any other game right now, along with Fall Guys and just stuff like that. But kind of a mix of everything right now.
Awesome. Is Fall Guys still free on Epic?
It is free on Epic, yeah,
Go cop that if you haven't
permanently.
already. Oh, it is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Damn, that's kind of nice.
I've been trying like a lot of games for the first time. Like I've been trying Rainbow Six. It's so hard. It's so hard.
It is.
Overwatch is way more forgiving. Playing some TFT. I might be trying Hearthstone soon, but I don't know. I'm trying a whole bunch of games. I'm exploring. I'm still new.
That's pretty awesome. I'm gonna get you to play some Apex with me then.
I'm scared.
Why are you scared of Apex?
Isn't it like
Don't be
really
scared.
intense though?
No, I think
It
you
can
would
be.
like the characters in Apex. Like it's a little bit of like a learning. You got to learn how like bats and shields and when you got to cover and all that stuff. But I feel like you're a Gibraltar player.
Alright.
I don't know
Alright.
why. You feel like a Gibby player, and we're
I
gonna find
believe.
out when we
I don't
actually
know
play.
who that is, but I believe.
It's okay. It's okay. You should just look up Gibby.
Mhm.
Anyways, okay. So now that we're done introductions, I guess we'll start with you, Nick. Kind of take us through a little bit of your day on how you work with like some of your competitive teams and the players. Like, what does a normal day for you look like, and then also kind of what does a normal day for your players look like?
Yeah. So a normal day for me, um, I'm more hands-on with my management, so I like to talk to all the teams, no matter who they are, kind of thing. So I keep a good relationship with everyone who's on every team, plus the coaches, the managers, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a lot of just DMs, just talking to people, talking in the team Discord chats, just like um, kind of just keeping it loose, kind of thing, and talking casually, make sure everyone is on time for scrims, for practices, all that kind of stuff. Um, on the back end, I talk a lot to my VPs and my managers to talk about future events and stuff like that. Not a whole lot of that recently, so it's more just been focused on competitive teams. That's about it for me. I just kind of talk to everyone and make sure everyone's paying attention to their times and everything. For the teams, I don't, or for the club itself, we don't keep too strict of a schedule. But if the teams want to put the work in a week, they'll schedule a couple of scrims. The team captain and team coach will do that for them. Otherwise, they mostly just keep to themselves. They queue up with each other outside of just team scrims and stuff like that when they need to. But a lot of our stuff is more casual. So but yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. And I guess the same question for you, Cynthia, and I guess the League of Legends team more specifically.
Mm. I guess for the League of Legends teams, like right now, everyone usually takes the summer off. We'll do a few scrims every now and then, but summer is more of a time to prepare for fall when we have a lot of our tryouts and a lot of the new freshmen coming in. But as far as right now, like we'll have like a scrim like every now and then because everyone's working, they're traveling, they're pretty busy right now. But in the fall, we're usually scrimming once a week. We'll have like sometimes we'll have VOD review, depending on everyone's schedules. But yeah, it's more of the captain's decision and more of a school first and the club second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a it's always education first. That's a pretty good motto to go under.
Mhm.
Do you lead the VOD reviews, or are you more kind of taking that backseat kind of admin position with your teams?
I'm more just the scheduling. It's more for them to review it with each other. And I remember we were talking to Jensen. It's not like a matter of like, oh, you should have flashed here, you should have flashed there. It's to be. It's like it has to be more forgiving with each other and kind of not have like the genius in hindsight kind of position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's I don't I guess I understand. I don't see a point of going back necessarily and being like, should have done this here, should have done that there. It maybe would be more helpful to be like, hey, in these kind of situations, like look for these patterns
Right.
rather
Like
than
with the
like,
information that you have in that moment, what
yeah.
kind of conclusions can you draw?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right, and I guess how about Matt and your Valorant teams?
um, uh, so for the summer, we have our teams set to, well, they have each have like their league play, so they have one game a week. But our black team, our most competitive team, schedules 2 scrim blocks a week, and the other teams just do one. But in the fall, when like things were busy, or in spring, sorry, um, and like things are like really like going, the black team had 3 games a week for like 5 weeks or 7 weeks, um, plus scrims, and yeah, they were really going at it.
It's ridiculous amount of. It's crazy.
Wait, sorry, I might have missed it, but how long are your scrim blocks typically?
So it depends. Sometimes like the guys will go early if they want to work on something. But we typically schedule for like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Does that include like, is it just purely like 2 scrims, or does it include like your VOD reviews and stuff?
Typically players will show up an hour early to do VOD review and then use that information and then scrim.
Awesome. Is that the,
So
I
is it
guess,
looking more like 3 to 4? Hey, is it 1 hour VOD review and then scrim?
Um, it depends, right? Like I said, like it's either 3 or 4 hours. So sometimes it's like 4 hours, or sometimes it's longer. I remember like when White first started, like they were like, it's our junior varsity team, and when they wanted to like practice and like learn, because they haven't played together, right? So they needed a little bit more practice. They were going like 6 hours a day or something, like for like their first day,
oh
Holy shit.
God.
Wow.
but they were enjoying it.
Yeah.
Now they're back.
Reassuring us.
Yeah, now they're back to like the standard 3 hours about.
Yeah, it sounds pretty reasonable, I guess, for scrim blocks. I guess Nick, is it kind of a similar time block for your teams? Or I guess depending on the team, of course, but
Yeah. It heavily depends on the team. I know our Rainbow Six team, basically they don't get a scrim every night, but if they don't get a scrim, they like just do ranked or just casual kind of thing. But like the Rainbow Six team is super committed, so every night, like at least a couple of them will be on. But we have some teams that'll get on once a week, some teams that get on once a month kind of thing. Especially in the summer, like it's basically whatever they want to do. But for tournaments and stuff like that, we try and at least enter every team into one summer tournament, whether it's a weekend tournament or league based kind of thing. But like especially our Rock League team right now is doing the CCA Open or Summer Open or Summer Series, whatever it's called.
Mhm.
So they've been scrimming multiple times a week and doing plans last week, this week, plans are next week as well. So it gets super busy for some teams, and some teams just keep it super light. So it completely depends on the team.
Mm. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like I think almost all teams scrim, or I would
Hmm.
hope they all scrim, but it's definitely like the length of time between schools and between teams, like fluctuates so much, um, which is actually really interesting, especially like between fall, spring, and then you get the summer, like this technically the off season.
Hmm.
I guess when it comes to scrims, is there anything I guess the coaches are looking for, or you guys are looking for, I guess even the players are looking for and looking at that are really important?
For us, it's mostly team chemistry. To be honest, we don't expect our players to win every tournament we enter, but we look for the value they get out of it as a team, and as basically students at a school. So, I mean, it's been rough in COVID, but we try and have as many people on campus as possible to kind of meet each other. Even if they just like if they've never met each other before, if they play on a team together. We try and make sure that they get that valuable experience first. But yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's exactly too what we're trying to do, especially with like Team White, our junior varsity team, because they're so new. Team play and utility usage is like the biggest things that they got to work on, and honestly, it's like probably the biggest thing in Valorant.
I think for mostly League of Legends, when we're trying out a new roster, we'll play maybe like our average level is around Masters, Grandmaster. Just to test out. our roster, we'll try maybe Diamond Master teams. And then when we have a solid roster, we'll bump it up to more challenging opponents. But in general, yeah, everything else they said. It's more about synergy.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess team cohesion is something that is super important, and I guess um, how has that been, kind of running teams in the thick of COVID, but also how do you see that kind of changing, or like what are you gonna do now that we're more in the tail end of COVID?
Um, for us, it's kind of funny. I'm gonna say the same thing over and over again, but it depends on the team. Um, like for example, our Valorant teams, we have multiple of them, but they have stayed like through the thick and thin through COVID, like not on campus. They've been together the whole time, scrimming, like super motivated. But our League of Legends team has like fallen apart. Like they lost contact. I can't contact some of them. They just don't reply, kind of thing. Um, so some of them have really done well in this online environment and not being able to go to campus and see each other, and some of them have not taken it well at all. So it just depends on the student, I guess, or it depends on the team.
I think COVID, like for online games, it's not that big of a deal, especially like quarantining and whatnot. But I think the biggest issue was mental health. That's a struggle. Like trying to get people to play League of Legends. And then add the pandemic on top of it. It's just like a lot of people lost a lot of motivation. They needed to draw back from League to focus on school or focus on work, and we lost a lot of players that way.
Hmm.
So that was tough. But um, hopefully, in the fall we'll see some new players coming back and maybe some new talent coming in.
Hmm.
So that's good.
I mean, it's really like, as Cynthia said, it's games have been online, so it hasn't really affected that, but it has affected like lands and in-game things, and it did kind of like affect to some degree, I think, like sponsorship potential, because you're not being out there, right? You're not like having that same impact.
Yeah, I think COVID throws a lot of wrenches, but it also gives you a lot of blessings and also makes you kind of count some of those blessings. I think a lot of us might have taken like in-person social things uh, for granted because now that we couldn't do it for 2 years, it's like, wow, I don't connect with my friends. I still feel a bit isolated, even though we're playing games every day. It's there is something different in the essence of that. Um, but Cynthia, you were talking about changing rosters and players being kind of dropping off the face of the earth for many reasons. Um, and I know I've kind of because I know the team a little bit. I've talked about this a little bit. Um, how do you go about those changes? 'Cause I know Tyler went from, what is it, 80 to mid to top to jungle,
Yeah,
and that's he just needs to support at this point to like
you're right.
finish his round trip. But I guess like how was that decision made? And like as someone who is their manager, like how do you make those decisions?
Mhm. Mostly, it's coming down to people willing to, because I can't force anyone to do anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like Tyler's just a real one. He'll be like, you know what? I see that we need this, and I'm willing to do it for you guys so that we can play. And it's hard to find people like Tyler. Tyler's goated.
Mm.
Like, and he does well no matter what role he's in. So I'm really thankful for people like Tyler. But in general, yeah, if I didn't have someone like that, we wouldn't be able to run in tournaments.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely a testament to sounds like the kind of player he is then to be this flexible,
Mhm.
but also to be able to play multiple roles at like a high level.
Mhm.
And I think one of the people I can think of for a league that does it is Tyler One. Coincidence? I mean, he's hit challenger in every role despite some of the comments he makes.
Right?
But I think that that's definitely like a very special and unique skill. For Matt and Nick, like, have you guys ever had to deal with some like mid-season roster swaps? And I guess what went into making those swaps and how you decide who is like their sub?
Luckily, not so much. The when we have a team so far, that the teams that we have had have known each other for years, and so transitioning them to like the SFU team, it's been extremely easy. and the coordination and team play has been, for the most part, like really good. And when there's like a situation where, like, say a player, we had one player go back to Korea for the summer, we had to bring in another player. We just swapped roles around. So teams, like everybody on the team, well, not everybody, but a couple players in the team, of course, just changed their positions. The good thing about Valorant is, like, the jobs are like essentially the same, just use utility. Just how you use the utility is different. Yeah, and with Red, our other varsity team, when they were starting up, they were looking for specifically a controller. So their approach was a little bit different, though. And that player that they have has so far just stayed with being a controller and stuck to that role, no problems. White,
Well,
sorry, I was just going to say
go
that
ahead.
White, our junior varsity team, has had like a couple more issues with that. They're still trying to find like their footings and what to do, what they're most comfortable with.
Yeah, for me, I'll actually switch up the subject a little bit, but the biggest challenge for us, like mid-season swaps, is actually on the admin side. We have a lot of like, I try and focus on getting students to help out on the admin side to gain knowledge and experience and all that kind of stuff, to give them better chances once they're graduated. But um, a lot of a lot of people who are helping out graduate, or they have a heavy schedule one semester, so they have to take a lighter workload. So the biggest struggle for us is actually getting admins. Well, not getting admins, but having admins that stay committed, kind of thing. Not to their fault, but it is hard to try and swap in students to try and take over others' roles or give them more responsibility halfway through, and all that kind of stuff is probably the biggest challenge that we have.
I think definitely admins are a group of underrated volunteers, essentially, in a lot of the collegiate spaces. It's because a lot of times, we don't know what we're doing. We need the help, we need the training. It's also, you are dealing with collegiate teams, and you obviously don't want to make a mistake with them and disqualify them for a tournament by accident. So Cynthia, like, I know you stepped into. I know, I'm sorry, I said your name
Yeah,
kind of funny.
sure, sure.
I know you stepped into kind of the esports management role, not coming from esports at all.
At all.
So where were you before this? And, like, I guess, how did you get here and how are you finding it?
Um, like, okay, so 2020, I started playing video games, right? So the first game I ever started playing was League of Legends. Rough. And then, I think maybe 2021, I'm helping with SFU athletics. I'm like basically a ball boy, and I'm helping with their games. And I hear on the announcements, make sure to check out SFU's esports team on Twitter. I was like, SFU has esports teams? I didn't even know that. And I go on Twitter and they're hiring. I was like, should I do it? Should I apply? And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, they need a league manager? And I was like, nah, I can't do that. No way. They wouldn't let me. And then I do the interview, and I did have experience with Smash Bros. Ultimate. Like, I helped run a tournament, but I don't play Smash Bros. Well at all in high school. Um, but yeah, I told them, like, I've done some tournament work before. I'm doing tournament work now, and they're like, that's basically all we need. We need people who are willing to learn, and people who have like some sort of tournament knowledge. And that's basically how I got into esports. I mean, most of the admin or managers are usually very good at a game, so I'm like kind of alone there. But I think I bring something different to the table in that I have a lot of previous management experience. So, do with that what you will. I thought at first it would be like a huge disadvantage to not be very good at League of Legends or have a huge knowledge in esports, but it turned out to be okay. So, yeah, unconventional start, but we're here. We're here.
Hey, from ball boy athletics to League of Legends Darius dunking, I guess.
Exactly.
But actually, that's super interesting because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the word esports.
Right.
I know, like, within the SFU realm, we've had some people be like, "Hey, I'm iron, I'm bronze. Like, can I come play with you guys in houses?" It's like, Yeah, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you be able to? And their answer is, well, I'm not good. It's esports, and it's like you don't have to be good at gaming. Esports is just the kind of competitive bit of it. So I can understand, it's intimidating, but I think everyone can learn a little bit from Cynthia, just go for it. You may end up VP in a year of a club.
So true.
But yeah, I think a lot of it's just trying, you know. I think I would assume none of you guys kind of got here by, hey, we're gonna hand this to you. It's a lot of, hey, can I do this? Can I help? And learning on the job and being flexible. Um, but it's also really interesting that kind of one of the biggest requirements is be open to learning and be open to mistakes. This world gets a bit fixated on mistakes. But that being said, have there been any kind of mistakes you guys have made, and what are those, and kind of how can we learn from them? Or maybe an embarrassing things.
Like for me, especially when I was starting and I was starting in book scrims, I didn't look at time zones. So I would schedule a team like a match, and it would be like 5 hours late, and I tell the team, okay, you guys have a match now, and they're like, we had a match. I was like, yeah, it's really I mean I learned my lesson the first time, but like there's so many things you just have to learn the hard way. Especially like for me, there wasn't a League of Legends manager before me. So I just kind of have to get started, you know? I have to learn everything myself.
I think the biggest mistake I made at first was not verifying students, and it turned out to have us disqualified from a couple tournaments actually. But basically, we had people who were basically just trolling us, who were friends of the players on the team, who would pretend that they were going to our school just to play in the tournaments and stuff. So I definitely that was like I think that was 3 years ago now, but since then I've asked for student ID numbers, student emails, kind of thing, verified as much as I could to make sure that the players playing are actually students, because I will never make that mistake again.
Mm-hmm. That I've actually, yeah, verification is a huge thing, and I'm a little surprised that students are like, yeah, I go here.
Yeah,
Like it's a bit odd, but
it's interesting.
all right. How about you, Matt?
I was trying to think. I do like a lot more than what a typical manager would do for um
Mhm.
for our teams. Like I do like VOD reviews, I do scouting reports, um I attend like all their games, I attend all their practices, and I try to record everything for them. Um, I fill in for like White's coach when they need it, just kind of like fill in. And I think like one thing um, is kind of like overdoing it. With like three teams, it's a lot to manage, and at some point, if you got to like juggle them carefully, because if you don't, then you start losing your attention on one team and focusing more on the other, and at the cost of the support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, frankly, as soon as I heard everything you do for Valentine's, I was like, wow, lack of a better word, they better appreciate you. And I think they do. I've only ever heard glowing reviews on you working with them. But I guess that kind of speaks to a bit of the balance issues. I guess how are you guys, managing yourselves with balancing, school and club work and maybe working on the side, as managers?
For me, it was definitely making a better schedule for myself, especially in the past couple years. I haven't had I haven't had a time that I don't answer Discord messages or that I don't like scroll through Twitter kind of thing and stay updated. So the biggest thing for me was to make sure I have time to, hang out with family undisturbed and the girlfriend and everything like that. Um, and just making sure that I'm not over committing and taking away from my own life. As much as it's important to me, I know I need to take time for myself kind of thing. So I made sure that I schedule in times that I'm not available on Discord, where I tell the teams like, "Yep, you got to do this tonight. Make sure you do it. I won't be available, but like try and figure it out kind of thing." So that's the biggest thing for me.
I think for me, like right now, I'm chilling, but like when it's busy, I think maybe like December of last year, I was like working part time. It was final season, and we had a big tournament finishing up. I had never been that burnt out in my life, so I'm still trying to learn that balance. I think because I can't say I've learned it now that I'm chilling. It's just there's nothing really to do. It's just the team's on hiatus. So this coming December, I want to make sure. I don't know. I guess I'm looking for tips too. I'll make sure to book time for myself and tell my team what they should be responsible for. But like, I think with management, I didn't realize how often I have to be ready on my phone. Like how often I have to check in with other tournaments or making sure that there's no technical issues or if my team has questions, I'd be ready to answer quickly. Yeah, that kind of paranoia that something might be going on is definitely causing a lot of my burnout. Yeah, in the future, I'll learn to chill out.
Yeah, I think I definitely understand that paranoia because I know every morning for the last 3, 4 days, and I know it's gonna happen
What
until
happened?
Friday. It's
Okay,
always okay. Am I gonna wake up with something and explode? It's like, or like I've woken up in the middle of the night for this event and just been like, let me just go check my Discord messages like one last time,
because
and
like people
it's
are they're on demon hours. They're at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
It's
They're
true.
like, holy smokes!
that's actually really like it's so weird. Like it's very typical, maybe not the healthiest for players and everyone to and, like everyone in this industry to be up 2, 3, 4 in the morning, sleep until noon, and you're like, huh, someone's gonna message me at 6 in the morning and be like, hey, I need this in 2 hours, and you're like, well, I'm dead asleep. Or even I would think like you were mentioning something like coordinating with teams that have different time zones and like making sure you put in the fine print this time PDT, this time EDT, because that is a whole battle in itself. And sometimes, no matter how much you say it and how much you tell your teams, someone's gonna forget
Mm.
until you maybe like plaster it somewhere that you better not forget. Um, yeah, so those are some really hard balances, and I know that you guys are gonna figure it out, and as you get older, you're gonna find those balances. So good luck for that. But are there any kind of really, really cool parts about your job? Things that you didn't know maybe going into it, or things that like really like cool moments you've had with your teams?
I'd have to say for us, it was getting a varsity program on campus. So we now have a varsity program called Lancer Gaming. But like all of us who are working at the club, like a bunch of us, the executives, that day that it was announced that we're getting a varsity team, like we couldn't control ourselves. Like we were ecstatic, and most of us got hired on into the varsity program as well. So we're working for the school, and then we have the teams that we're managing that are on scholarships and everything. So like we have never been happier than that day. Just as a whole group, we knew how hard we worked for it for 2, 3 years at that point, and we just had never been happier.
I think for me, like, I mean, I'm still so new, so like, as far as achievements, um, with the changing up rosters, especially with Tyler taking every role, like, we're not real. The highlights haven't been high rankings in tournaments, unfortunately, but like, for sure, it's all the friends I got to make. I know it sounds so cheesy, but like, being a girl in a male-dominated industry, like club, I was so intimidated taking up like an authority position. But like when we went to go laser tagging that That was so much fun. And like everyone was so sweet. Even if I didn't get to talk to them, even on Discord, like people in Hearthstone, people in R6, like I'd never really talked to them, but we bonded so quickly at laser tag, and it was like these guys are the best. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think like we have like a really good group of people at SFU. Like we're really blessed with that, and like everyone's like really passionate about games too, which is a bonus. And that really like goes down to like our supports that they have for the team, because they're not varsity, like they're just a club. So all the supports that they get are from volunteers essentially, um, and it's really cool seeing the team develop from seeing them go from like essentially like almost like a wreck to a very coordinated team. It's um, interesting to be a part of that, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the development of the collegiate space in the last few years because I know when I joined in I don't know, like 2019 or something like that. I had actually been trying for a few years, but it was like you know, kind of speaking to Cynthia's point, it was me being intimidated by all the men, like not literally just being the one or two females like in the club, and then seeing that blossom to getting you know presidents and VPs that are female, which are really cool, and it helps definitely with the comfort part of it. But also seeing you know with that development, we also develop all the teams. You know, we have full rosters, we have some coaches and maybe some analysts, and Canadian schools are getting their programs and scholarships, and that's all really cool because we're kind of we of course are still a bit grassrootsy, but that's okay. That's progress. For you all, I guess, you know, we all know that America is ahead of us by more than a couple years. But how do you think you and your teams are faring against those schools? You know, given the difference between like where universities and colleges are at currently.
For like League of Legends, the scary schools in the West are Berkeley and Irvine. They have a lot of money, a lot of smart people, and I think they have proper facilities too, which I mean, we don't even have like a room of computers for just the gaming people. Like it's not much to ask for, but we don't even have that much. And I feel like they have such a strong facility. It's like a bit discouraging sometimes, but yeah, they are ahead of us. They're chilling.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. UCI is always a scary school. Like you hear so much, and I think I was watching. I think their I forget it was them or Maryville, like their facilities tour, and you're like, yeah, it's a huge
Maryville.
room, multi-level, and you're like, mm-hmm. We're still playing
Multi-level.
at home. Like we're some schools do have those dedicated spaces, which is like awesome in itself that they have a dedicated space, but it also must like bring up the level of competition.
Mm.
But yeah, how about Nick or Matt?
Um, Personally, I like I like to look at America as like, or American schools at least as like something that I want to shoot towards. Actually, one club at Oakland University over in Michigan. Um, the president over there, his name's JQ, but he has motivated me for the past couple of years to like do more and like to elevate myself to make our club better. Like obviously they have Oakland's actually partnered with Renegades, the professional esports team. So they have like they have a whole exterior facility that they go to and all that kind of stuff. But um, like it's hard. It's hard to know that your teams are not going to have the chance against some of these schools that have that dedicated space and have the players that come in on full ride scholarships and like it's so hard. But I don't know. I personally like to look at that as something to shoot towards, and it is discouraging at times, but it's also nice to know that we are definitely headed in the right direction right now, and that we can work towards something that we can see kind of over there.
Hmm.
I mean, it definitely feels like we're playing like catch up, right? In terms of like the resources that American schools get. But I also think like our varsity team, like SFU Black, they do like very well. Like they're pretty good. In AVGL, they finished in like the top 32 out of like 107. And like they played the top team who won the Red Bull Cup like the year previous, and in their map they went it was like 12-8, so it was a really close game. And like that was like when they were first starting, so I'd love to see them like now. And we're currently playing in like an American league, and our black team is like in the top 4 at the moment, or top 3 even.
She.
Wow. I knew our Valorant team was a little cracked from what everyone's telling me. I didn't know they were that cracked, but it's definitely interesting to see like yeah, we're playing catch up, but some of the Canadian teams are able to keep on pace with these, you know, big league schools. Um, but I guess other than UCI, which Cynthia mentioned, do you guys think there are any kind of gold standard schools that, you know, we should all kind of look a bit to or aspire to be a little bit more like?
I think like for us, when we talk about like other schools, a couple names definitely like continuously are brought up, and that's like St. Clair with like their crazy esports like dedicated space, or for Valorant at least, it's University of Alberta in terms of like the best Valorant team in Canada probably.
Mhm.
Yeah. St. Clair is definitely one of those. It hurts being in the same city as them and seeing what they have. It definitely is a thorn in the side every single time I think about it, but it is different just because we are universities and it's a lot easier for colleges to get that kind of stuff. There are a lot colleges in Canada are a lot further ahead than we are on advancements and just like keeping up to date with all the newest things. Um, so it is difficult. I will say Waterloo definitely has a developed program. We're good rivalry between us and them right now, but um, yeah, definitely St. Clair College is the absolute gold standard that we can look at. But everyone has their own things at their own clubs and universities that they're doing the best at. So um, definitely looking to take from as many different schools as possible.
Mhm.
Nick, when you're talking about like St. Clair, are you talking about like Rocket League or their entire esports program?
Their entire sports program.
I see. I see.
They have like
Yeah.
it's like a multi-million-dollar like facility.
Yeah.
Our team compares them to 100 Thieves.
What do we have? What do we have?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's wild.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, they have like 2 different computer rooms with over 30 like Alienware gaming computers. Like, plus they have already 2 rooms of competitive. Like it's called the Nest, but anyways, they're already 7 years ahead of us. It's kind of wild,
Jesus.
and now they're making it. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't know how much it is, but now there's a whole new facility with the stage and everything. It's kind of wild.
You
Oh
you can
my
tell
God.
Cynthia's Googling this right now.
Oh yeah,
God.
oh yeah.
They have
Yeah,
like LED lights. They didn't have to flex. You know what I mean?
yeah, they have the extra
Everything.
RGB.
They have
Yeah.
money. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, you know, like gaming lounges and facilities dedicated for esports to pop up on different university campuses. I know, like around here, I think I think it's only UBC that has their Lenovo lounge, which they shout out to them. They actually got newly sponsored by Lenovo for that. But between like us, UVic, Cap, and Douglas, it's not a whole lot. But that is also something we are striving to. You know, St. Clair obviously comes up a lot. Unfortunately, they will not be in our Valorant tournament, but we do have U Alberta. So we'll see. You know, of course, SFU, Windsor, and U Alberta are all in that tournament. So it'd be actually pretty excited to see how some of the powerhouses do against each other. Yeah,
Carlton's in there too.
Carlton. I'm excited. I think it's gonna
It's really stacked. Yeah, I'm not
yeah, I think it's gonna be really stacked,
kind of
and
scared.
we haven't done seating yet, but I'm a little bit scared to see seating and like see all the values and be like, oh yeah, everyone's like really close by the way. So seating this properly would be a little bit more difficult, but I think it'll be some fun matches that'll be coming up tomorrow and the next 3 days following that, leading up to Canada Day, of course. Um, But I guess we were talking about a bit of the difficulties with collegiate clubs. Is kind of a lack of practice space the only difficulty you guys are seeing with your clubs and teams, or is there kind of something else that you're noticing?
With sorry,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. To be honest, we have our newest facility under construction right now. It's supposed to be. We actually have the room built, but we also got sponsored by Lenovo. So I can't speak to that unfortunately because we are getting a space. Um, so I will pass on this question. I'll take a pass.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations though
Thank
for
you.
Yeah, good job.
that new facility. Like that's definitely a really good step.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you?
For us, like because we don't have like that space, or like a dedicated like equipment or anything, our players will be playing on like laptops, or they'll have like older computers, or Wi-Fi will be an issue. Um, and like I've played in like up north in BC, and for some reason it seems like our players have like worse Wi-Fi down here.
Interesting.
Kind of surprised by that, but all
Very
right.
surprised. I think I wish we had, I guess, resources like to be able to hire. Like I think of Maryville and their ability to hire a full-time coach like Jensen, someone who's been to like LCS, everything, all like the biggest tournaments in the world, and he is there personally coaching each of them. We have to like get our little grant money together, and then I don't even think we can hire someone. Like everything would have to be volunteer. Like I would have loved to have like professional coaching or anything like that for our players.
Mhm.
Sucks.
Yeah, definitely money is a huge factor.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I kind of hate it a little bit, but everything definitely boils down to money. Um, I guess, what do you think kind of the Canadian universities would need to kind of take that step to say, okay, we will initiate a program. We will, legitimize esports at our school some more and hire those people that we need to help you guys do better and have those facilities.
I think they should be just looking to American schools. Like people go to Maryville for the esports program. They only get it only brings attention and in a good way. You know, like they should value that and take advantage of that. Like it's already a multi-billion-dollar industry. I don't know why they're like turning such a blind eye to it, but if they're the first to properly do a good program and properly do funding and taking it seriously in Canada, I think it'll put them down in history, if I'm honest.
Mhm. Yeah, I think definitely because we're still so grassroots and it really, not to insult any of the other schools, like because St. Clair's kind of always the one being talked about, that it's always, hey, admin, you want to go look at them? Because I'm pretty sure St. Clair, like their number of students are not, they don't have that many students, but they
Mm.
have those top tier teams and they're able to recruit. So I would say imagine, big schools like McMaster or UBC, where I think UBC has, what, 70,000 or something like that students every year. Like imagine what they could do because they are on a student base so much larger than someone like St. Clair. Again, that is not to put down any of the schools. Of course, we are all here to collaborate and come together, and that is also the entire point of CIE. Um, but yeah, um, all right. So we'll pivot. We're in about the last, I think, 10 minutes or so. If you could, are there any managers that you would want to talk to and kind of pick their brain about?
Um, for me, it would be actually I don't know. In the actual collegiate scene, I don't know if there's anyone. But someone that I really would want to talk to is Carlos from G2. I just love how he makes so much content around himself, and then he also makes it around the team and how he's built up G2 as such a big brand. But he's so fun about it and just like so loose about it. It's not like the traditional business kind of way, but I just love how he manages G2 as a whole.
Mm. Actually, say let me broaden the question a little bit rather than specifically coaches. Is there any schools you want to get an inside look on, and about like the guts of how they do things and why they do things?
I mean, for me, like I got the opportunity to talk to Jensen. Like I've genuinely been eyeing. Like I don't know if you guys saw on what Saturday.
Yeah.
There was a panel with Jensen Go, who is the main coach, now the main coach for Maryville, and he was here talking about. He was doing a coaching panel, and I got to be there, and I really appreciate a lot of his insight for. I don't want to say like someone of his age,
Someone with his experience.
right?
Yeah.
Like I understand they might look down on like, oh, these kids are just playing video games or whatever, looking down on us, but he treats us so seriously. He treats it as an opportunity to learn mastery and learn about yourself. And he's so motivating, even though I don't play esports. Like he like just talking to him, I see what makes him such a great coach and how he's able to inspire all the people around him and how analytical he is about it. Mm.
Yeah, and I guess it's last to you, Matt. Is there any schools that you'd be, wanting to spy on a little bit?
Well, I would definitely like to prod a little bit more into like St. Clair, obviously, just to see like the more like how they operate. But I think that's like um me because I do a lot of like the business side of like the Valorant team. Like I'm trying to find them like um either doing things like organizing socials or trying to get them equipment. Last semester, like the team got like a 4 month supply of Beaver Buzz. So
Wait, what is Beaver Buzz?
energy drink.
Oh, I know Monster Red Bull. That's all I know.
Fair enough.
Now you know
Or
Beaver
Rockstar, I
Buzz.
guess, but
This
that's
episode
I
is
guess a
Alright,
little
that's
less
right.
popular in the esports space. Um,
I'm honestly, I think I'm kind of curious to see how some universities who don't have a budget are able to be so successful.
mm,
Like, I don't know what U Alberta's facilities are like, but I can't imagine that being too much different than ours. And I'm curious how they are able to
I
run
th-
so well.
mhm.
I think they have like a pretty developed
Damn,
esports.
damn, of course they do. Of course they
Right.
do. They all do.
Well, actually, Cynthia, we will be talking to, I believe it's the president of U Alberta on July
Cute.
1st. So if you do have questions, you can always sauce them to me or put it in our chat.
For sure.
I know Emily's going to be on that panel on the SFU side, and I think it'll be Jackie on U Alberta. So if you have those questions, definitely ask. And we're also here to
Please.
make these, cross Canada connections. Because I'm going to say I probably knew only. I'm going to say I didn't know anyone before organizing this panel. Everyone I had talked to are I pretty new people, except for maybe Caden from UBC.
I got so many buddies now. I got Nick, Benson, Tyler. So many buddies.
The voice of God in your ears.
Mhm.
Fun.
um, all right. So, do you all kind of we are in I think 7 minutes or so. Do you all see esports in your careers for the future, whether it be management, event planning? I would assume most of you would not be pro players, but pro players if that's what you are into. Or even like content creators and streamers and that stuff. Do you kind of see yourself in that position anywhere in the future, or where would that be?
I personally, um, I wrestle with this a lot, but I'm also very into traditional sports, so football, soccer, hockey kind of thing. So my path is going to lead me to either coaching a traditional sport or esports. And I definitely am siding towards esports at this point. But I definitely want to at one point start my own esports org, and kind of just start from the bottom and see what I can do with it, and see what happens from there. Um, Other than that, I don't see where else in esports I would go, other than either owning my own org or being a coach for a specific team kind of thing.
Have you coached traditional sports before?
Yeah, football at the high school level, and then soccer mainly at the youth level. And then for hockey, I was a goalie coach for many years. And I
Oh,
played travel hockey, travel soccer, all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. So
I
I
have,
guess,
yeah,
oh, sorry, continue.
yeah, I just have a lot of years in different sports. So
Mhm. I guess taking those years of experience in traditional sports and then looking at what you're doing in esports, I guess how much is there skill transfer? I guess is it is the coaching kind of very similar between traditional and esports?
um, it's similar. I will say it might sound weird, but esports is actually more of a mental game. It's a lot less relying on like physical power, like actually physically being able to muscle through something or to like use your body kind of thing. It's a lot like esports is a lot more using your brain, like using your brain against the other team kind of thing more than in traditional sports, I find.
Mm. Yeah, that
Which is
definitely makes sense.
yeah, it's kind of funny that a lot more esports orgs and teams don't use mental skills training a lot. That's something that I learned a lot about in traditional sports is mental skills training. And I think it has way more impact in esports than it ever did in traditional sports. So that's something I also am interested in that I would imply if I do go farther in esports kind of thing. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's something I think I definitely I'd love to pick your brain on because, physical, working out, yeah, kind of understand it. The mental is always just the little bit of the unknown for a lot of us, unless we're, psych majors or something like that. But to Cynthia and Matt, is there kind of what do you guys see yourself doing in the next 5, 10 years?
Mm, For me, it's definitely not going to be like analytics table or that kind of thing. But team management in general, I think is really interesting. It's so fun. And like, it's like just, if you get to know them, it's basically just working with your friends.
Mhm.
So probably somewhere there. But yeah, probably not like influencer or content creator either.
All right, I guess then the hypothetical goes to if you don't end up being in esports at all, what are your career aspirations?
For me,
Yeah.
mm,
Unless you're not sure, then that's totally fair because especially because you're still in school.
yeah, I'm definitely not sure. But again, I'm really open to opportunities. I'm very like, if I see something, maybe there's something that hasn't even crossed my radar before. I've never even heard of it before. But when I see it, I'll understand that I really want that, and then I'll chase for it. You know what I mean? There's so much I don't know in the world, so I'll wait.
Patiently wait until something like just bonks you over the head, be like this.
Mm.
You're doing this. This is your calling. Yeah. And I guess the last is you, Matt.
Um, well, tough to say what the future holds. Um, I think, well, you guys know that I've had many jobs, so
Mhm.
it varies. Um, but when I was like 16, that's when I was like very serious about like gaming, and there was a different competitive atmosphere then. Um, the so 10 years ago, essentially. Um, like the game now, I think is a lot more. There's a lot more opportunities now than there were back then. Um, but I'm also like more settled into like psychology and counseling.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, if you were to like, I don't know, if de-age yourself, go back like to like be 16 right now. Do you think you would have actually more, I guess, pursued that pro lifestyle and the pro athlete kind of pathway?
Well, I did it for a year,
Mhm.
but I think like knowing now, like there's definitely like some things like I could have done differently. Like I definitely experienced burnout. I definitely had injuries. I had carpal tunnel syndrome on both my hands at one point, where it was so bad where I couldn't put on a seatbelt. Um, yeah, like it was really traditional in the sense that you would get up and you would play for like 12 hours. And now I think like there's a lot more focus on like mental health and like physical well-being. And at the time, it just wasn't really there.
Mhm. Well, I'm very glad though that kind of our industry's evolved to care about these things and to care about the all players and all managers. But that does about bring us to the end of the segment. It's already been an hour, but there's still lots of more discussions to be had. So thank you again to Nick, Cynthia, and Matt for joining us, chatting about your collegiate experience. Thank you to Chat for coming in and chatting with us and
The
watching
best
all of
chat.
this. Kind of as a last remark, is there kind of anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say or plug your socials? That works too.
Just gonna plug UN Esports at UN Esports on Twitter. Any support over there would be helpful. And shout out to Caitlin.
I'll say shout out Jen and a lot of the backseat people, like our backstage people, like they work so hard, and I saw how many weeks they put into this, all the hours they put into this, and I'm really thankful that everything's been turning out great so far, and I'm really happy to see all their hard work be fruitful. So, yeah, guys. And SFU Sports. Get over
Gotta rep our home school.
for sure.
And I guess you get the last word, Matt.
If you want to watch SFU Valorant, either follow us on Twitch or follow me on SFU or Twitch/go B and then Zerk.
I think I have.
Nice.
I do have your command right here. Great. All right. So that is our 1 hour segment with some collegiate clubs, and we spent the hour talking a little bit about everything collegiate. So that actually takes us to the end of our panels for day 4 of CIE. We will be taking about a half-hour break and then bringing to you our League of Legends finals. That will be a best of 5 series. And I believe it features UBC and U Windsor. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize if I am. But for more panels, we'll have a sponsorship panel tomorrow, as well as the start of our Valorant tournament. So that is it for panels today, and stick around for League of Legends. We will see you all later.
Bye, guys.
Sports United is proud to announce Canada's dedicated Valorant Collegiate Invitational. MECI Valorant begins with Western and Eastern Canadian divisions. Tune in on July 23rd and 24th for our West Division qualifiers and July 30th and 31st for the East Division. Find our socials at linktree/MeSportsUnited to stay up to date with more MECI news. Now enjoy the rest of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. We'll see you soon. Sports United is proud to announce Canada's dedicated Valorant Collegiate Invitational. MECI Valorant begins with Western and Eastern Canadian divisions. Tune in on July 23rd and 24th for our West Division qualifiers and July 30th and 31st for the East Division. Find our socials at linktree/MeSportsUnited to stay up to date with more MECI news. Now enjoy the rest of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. We'll see you soon. Esports United is proud to announce Canada's dedicated Valorant Collegiate Invitational. MECI Valorant begins with Western and Eastern Canadian divisions. Tune in on July 23rd and 24th for our West Division qualifiers and July 30th and 31st for the East Division. Find our socials at linktree/mesportsunited to stay up to date with more MECI news. Now enjoy the rest of the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. We'll see you soon.